1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honey Bee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am your host, Precious D. We're doing a little something different today. We are not having a regular episode because Honey Bee has finals all week, and I've had to deal with a little bit of a family health crisis. Nothing too serious, but just something that's taking a lot of time. So, I'm going to do a little thing called Kaiju Comics Corner. Over on our Patreon, Honeybee and I have been making our way through the original Marvel Godzilla comics, which have recently been reprinted in one of those big fancy hardback omnibus editions after being out of print for many years. And probably not a coincidence at all, Marvel has a new series of Godzilla comics coming out under the broad banner of Godzilla versus the Marvel Universe. Each one is an individually numbered book, so it's like Godzilla versus Fantastic Four #1, Godzilla versus the Hulk #1. This week, Godzilla versus Spider-Man #1 came out. They're kind of standalones, but the Spider-Man one did make reference to the Hulk one. The Fantastic Four seemed more like a standalone without referring to anything else. There's a X-Men and a Thor and an Avengers coming up. So I'm going to play that first Patreon episode for you guys in a moment. But before that, I wanted to mention a couple other things going on in the world of comics. There's a lot of kaiju comics going on right now. Our friends at the similarly named company Funtime Go just finished fulfilling their Kickstarter for the second part of Super Kaiju Rock and Roller Derby Funtime Go. I don't think it's up on their website yet. They're probably waiting until they've sent out all of the backer copies, but the first issue is up on there, as well as another project of theirs. That's at funtimego.com. There's a new thing, not new, but new to me, thing called Monster Matador that has had a couple of Kickstarters recently, and you can pick those books up at monstermatador.com, and it's exactly what you think it is. It is a matador fighting kaiju. Also over on Kickstarter, Legendary Comics is kickstarting something called Monarch: The Lost Adventures, which is a comic book tying into the Apple TV Monarch series that's part of the Monsterverse. And our buddies at Kaiju and Cowboys just successfully wrapped up a Kickstarter for their 6th issue, which I believe is going to be the final issue of that series. But if you just Google Kaiju and Cowboys, you'll be able to find the other books available at numerous places around the interweb. We'll take a quick little break here, and then we'll be back with that Godzilla issue 1 episode.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Feeling stressed? Take a moment for yourself with Heyday. Stroll through rows of golden wheat, tend to cute barnyard animals, and discover the joys of a digital farm retreat. You don't have to hop in a car or catch a plane. Escape to the farm at the tap of a finger. With Heyday, you're not just tending to a farm, you're tending to yourself. Heyday. Search Heyday, that's Hay space DAY, in your favorite app store. Heyday is a free-to-play mobile game and offers optional in-app purchases and random rewards.
Today, Honeybee and I are going to be talking about the big fat comic book we got, Godzilla, the original Marvel years.
The big fat comic book we got.
We mentioned this a while back. Marvel's been, for a long time they've been putting out these big pricey hardback collections, these omnibuses. Mm-hmm. But lately they've been reacquiring the rights or reprint rights to things that they did in the past that they licensed from other companies. So they couldn't just reprint them whenever they wanted to, like they can with their own stuff.
Oh.
So we're talking about a Godzilla comic book that ran for how many issues? 24 issues back in the 70s, from August 77 to July 79. And then had only been reprinted once in a paperback black and white collection, I think in the 90s is maybe when I got that one. But they've been reprinting things like Micronauts, ROM, Space Knight, Star Wars, things that they don't own outright. Well, Star Wars now, Marvel and Star Wars are both owned by Disney, but I think Dark Horse is putting out the Star Wars comics right now. I don't know. That's a whole other thing. Anyways, whatever happened, they somehow got the rights to do another reprint of their Godzilla books. This one's in color. It's a hardback. It is expensive, but you can get it discounted on Amazon, and you can get a Kindle.
Big and fat.
Yeah, and if you want a even cheaper but lighter version, you can get it on Kindle for even less. So today we're going to talk about issue number 1 from August 1977, titled The Coming.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Doug Munch, and drawn, who drew this particular issue? Was it both of these guys? Herb Temple and Jim Mooney were the artists. Joe Rosen was the letterer, Janice Cohen the colorist, and Archie Goodwin the editor. Honeybee, what'd you think of issue number 1, The Coming?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I love that this is from like the 70s. Mm-hmm. Something about that's just like makes me love it even more. Especially like the I love how the accents read and the what is it, the onomatopoeias, you know?
Yeah,
the, like,
the sound effects
and craws and
scrap.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I like read the like rah of Godzilla, I really read it in the sound that Godzilla makes in my brain, I just like really love that. But yeah, the art is really great. It's a great first issue, I'd say. I wanted to keep going for sure, so that's always a good sign. I really like the things that they do to show the size of Godzilla and his strength, like how they talk about how he like whips the metal around like there's no weight to it, and like just the things that in a movie you can see visually, but if you're reading a comic, it's really up to the art and your imagination, and I thought that they did a great job.
Yeah, it's it's definitely a 70s comic. It's got, the cover. Let's talk about the cover a little bit. Let's see. 30 cents it was originally.
30
cents.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't even know. Hold on. I'm going to grab a comic book.
Like, what could you get for 30 cents today? Probably jack shit.
Okay.
First fantastic issue, now in comics form, from Toho Productions' famed movie series.
All right, I have the latest issue of Superman here, and the cover price is $4.99.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did that come out? Was that this year?
That was like this month's, the most recent
Okay.
issue
Dang.
of Superman. There might, I think sometimes, they're not always all the same price. There might still be some that are $3.99 and some that are $4.99. I'm not sure how they decide. I know it's been that way in recent times that they're not all the same price. And of course, then there's always collections and things that are even more. But yeah, $4.99 is your basic price now. I do remember when comic books were 25 cents. I remember them going up from 25 to 30. But
was it a freaking outrage?
It was because my
my
allowance was like $1. I could get, and I should have. As a kid, you don't always understand tax.
Yeah.
$1 ought to be enough for 4 comic books, but it's not. It's not quite enough for 4 comic books. And I should have petitioned my parents for like. I should have asked them for like $1.25 allowance so I could pay the tax on the comic books, or $1.10, whatever it would have been.
So how long did it take you to get $1? Was it like a weekly allowance or like a monthly allowance?
Yeah, no, it was a week. I believe it was a week. Pretty sure. Yeah, we'd walk up to the 7-Eleven and, get whatever was there. You kids today, you don't know. There were comic specialty stores with pull boxes or subscription services. Well, there was always this option to subscribe to something through the mail. They'd mail it to you, but you hardly ever did that. I actually ended up doing that with Micronauts because Marvel had a couple of comic specialty shops were beginning to become a new thing at one point, and a couple of Marvel's comics they switched to direct sales only, which meant you either had to have a subscription or have a comic specialty shop nearby. And Micronauts was going to be one of those books, and I was like, "What? I gotta have Micronauts. I can't not have." So I got my mom to write a check that we mailed off to Marvel Comics for my Micronauts subscription.
I never had like comic subscriptions, but I did have what was it? Is it Highlights?
Yeah, Highlights was a thing.
Yeah, so like I did have like I guess I in my brain considered a magazine subscription.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this comic book, were you reading the cover while I went to?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Look out, America! The mightiest menace of them all is coming your way. We should say Godzilla is green in these comics, not grayish, blackish. And
he
breathes
green, baby.
He seems to breathe fire, like orange and yellow fire, not his bluish white atomic fire. Mm-hmm. But this comic book is set in the Marvel universe, so it's got Marvel characters in it. It has S.H.I.E.L.D., the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it stood for Supreme Headquarters International Espionage Law Enforcement Division, which is dumb. Division of what? That doesn't... But they keep changing it. I don't know what it currently stands for, but they change it over time.
To keep it relevant or what?
I don't know. I think they keep trying to find an acronym that makes a little more sense, but still spells out S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, well, now it stands for Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division.
Yeah. So that's still division, but not telling me a division of what. In the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a supervisor's talking to, I think, a new agent, and he says all that, S.H.I.E.L.D., it means we are the strategic blah, blah, blah. He's like, do you know what that means? And the guy says, it means somebody really wanted our name to spell out S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, yep. Yeah, that's all it means.
That's funny that they acknowledge that in the show.
Yeah. But we get some Nick Fury in here.
Yeah, a little Tony Stark reference.
But our main This is back when Nick Fury was white. We get Dum Dum Dugan, who's going to be taking point. Nick Fury's too busy for some reason to deal with Godzilla himself. So Dum Dum Dugan takes point on this. Were you familiar with this guy at all?
Negative.
He appears in the Captain America movie.
Oh.
So these guys, Nick Fury and Dugan and a couple of these other guys, they were originally from a World War II comic book called Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos. And he always wore this bowler hat that we see. Yeah. So in the old comic, he'd be in his army uniform, but he'd be wearing that bowler hat. And he does wear it in the movie. Now he's wearing this high-tech shield outfit, but he's still got his bowler.
Got the hat.
and he and Nick are also both constantly smoking cigars.
Yes.
The idea was that after the war, they became spies. And as we get further and further away from the war, that becomes less likely that they had served in World War II. But when they start making the movies, well, they had already established a current Nick Fury in modern times. So when they went back to tell us about Captain America, they had Dugan appear and the other Howling Commandos, but they didn't have Nick Fury appear because it would make no sense for Sam Jackson to have been old enough to serve in World War II. And we also get Agent Jimmy Woo, who he was originally from an old comic called The Yellow Claw. They kind of resurrected him and made him a SHIELD agent, and he is the guy that is played by Randall Park in a couple of Marvel movies, in Ant-Man and what do you call it, WandaVision. He's a SHIELD agent in this comic. And we start off with Godzilla waking up in Alaska. He was frozen under the ice, and he wakes up because we drilled too much, I think. And he stomps on a lighthouse, but somehow the lighthouse keeper survives. And then he tears up a pipeline. I think they want us to believe that Godzilla doesn't actually kill anybody in this comic, because we keep seeing people fall out of things and run away from things.
Yeah, escape at the last minute.
Yeah, like I'm looking at him picking up this truck, and the guy's tumbling out of the side of the truck, and then Godzilla's crushing it, but we see that the guy is outside of the truck as he crushes it, fall out to kill him. But
are you talking about the blue truck?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was just
it's
an
oil truck. So SHIELD gets called in. They come in their weird little flying platform things. And they do a lot of pew-pew, and of course it doesn't do any good. And we get some characters, some Japanese characters that give us a bunch of backstory. And they're not the same characters from the movies, but they do give us a little backstory that's similar to the movie. They're trying to tie it into the movie, and yet they're not completely tying it in, because we don't have like Dr. Serizawa or those kind of characters. But they do talk about, they want us to think that Godzilla has been active in Japan for decades, and this is just the first time he's bothered to come tear up America. Why none of our world-trotting superheroes would have gone over and tried to deal with him at any point before now, I don't know.
I like how at one point in the comic it's like, oh, Godzilla has been wreaking havoc, and we're not exactly sure why in this moment, but surely we'll know in the future. I was like, okay, all right.
There does seem to be one character who doesn't want them to kill Godzilla because, he's a unique being and should be studied or whatever. So I think that there's this Dr. Yuriko Takaguchi, who's an old guy with a cane, and his assistant Tamaro Hashihioka, and his grandson Robert, who should not be here. He should be at home safe.
His grandson Robert.
Fury has brought them in as experts from Japan to help Dugan. And then I think Fury's going to fuck off for most of the rest of this series, I believe. I haven't read the whole thing. We're going to read these one at a time, folks, and do episodes about them and talk about them.
He just came by to look at us with his one good eye and show us his eye patch, let us know he's in charge.
Yep. Smoke a cigar.
Smoke a cigar, yeah.
It ends with them just standing around watching Godzilla walk away after he's set an oil field on fire. And who's talking here? Dugan. He says, I have grave fears concerning the very future of your country. Oh, that's not him. It's the Japanese guy, I guess. Or not. No, I guess he's talking about Japan. I don't know. I'm not going to reread it right now.
Yeah,
but in the last panel, it says
cigar
next.
guy. He's
Last panel says next, Seattle under siege. So here we go. Godzilla, King of the Monsters is the actual title of the comic book.
Yeah, he's very what it's like. It reminds me of an animation that we saw, an animated Godzilla that we saw maybe even kind of around the same time. No, maybe it was a little later, like
The
90s?
Hanna-Barbera? No, it's pretty old. Let me look it up real quick.
Okay. Because he's just so very green and like
Yes,
dinosaur, like, you know.
it is about the same time.
Okay.
The Godzilla cartoon from Hanna-Barbera is from 1978.
Okay, yeah.
So that is during the run of this comic book.
Nice.
I don't think I ever had any of these. I watched that cartoon, but I don't think I had any of these Godzilla comics when I was a kid. But like I said, it was, you went to 7-Eleven and you got whatever they happened to have. So if that particular store wasn't carrying the Godzilla comic, I don't know who made those decisions on a corporate level of which store was going to carry which comic. But I was definitely buying comic books in that time period. So there you go. Anything else you want to say about this? What'd you think of their shield outfits?
Well, hilarious, but I was really thrown off by the damn hat. And I'm like, at first I'm like, is that part of the uniform? And then I'm like, oh no, only this guy is wearing it.
Yeah.
And
it is his signature item.
yeah, I love that it also matches his huge handlebar mustache, which tracks for the time period.
Yeah. Well, but this is the same mustache he's been wearing since World War II, so. But yeah, big mustaches in the 70s, also a thing, definitely.
Big mustaches and big flamboyantly red round hats.
Well, I think it's supposed to be brown, but yeah, it comes off looking a little red. His hair's red too, so it's.
I also thought it was interesting that the Japanese people like have blue hair.
Oh well, it's supposed to be black. They have
right.
Anything that's black will have blue highlights in a comic book, at least at this time. So I think, which sometimes can make it hard to tell what something is supposed to be. I believe their shield costumes are supposed to be blue. Yeah, they're more like blue with black highlights instead of black with blue highlights.
Yeah.
I guess it's low lights when they're black. I don't know. Agent Wu, though, has a yellow outfit. Orangish yellow. I don't know what that's about.
It's like a yellow.
So we can.
A yellow shirt.
Different rank, maybe. What are these guys in the flying outfits? Doohickeys. Yes, the guys in the little flying platforms are wearing yellow and orange. So I guess he's part of that division. I don't know. I have not done a deep dive on the color coding of the uniforms in S.H.I.E.L.D. I guess it's like Star Trek, though. The color indicates what department you're with. Oh, man. Well, I think that's really all there is. It's only a 17-page comic book. There's not that much to say about it.
Right. A lot happens in the first one, but it's mostly just like introducing like, oh, here's Godzilla. This is where he's from. Here are like the important people that you need to know. Oh, and there he goes walking off into the sunset. All right. See you next week.
Well, like I said, I haven't read all these, but I read the introduction that gave a couple spoilers, and this
I
book's
didn't
gonna
read
get
that.
don't read it. Don't read it till you're done.
Yeah.
But it is going to get crazy. This book's going to get crazy.
Yeah, I like started to read it, and then it was like, mini spoilers, read the comics first. I was like, ah!
I did finally finish Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong just today. I finally finished reading that. So, which is also available digitally, folks, if you don't want to clutter up your space with physical comic books. Well, we're just doing a little short episode. We're going to do a Patreon movie review soon. We're going to try and get these out more often, folks. We finally finished our Rocky Horror thing. And we have another patron request that we're going to try to record. Maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see. I'll arrange that with Honeybee when we're off the air. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for being patrons. And you won't see us. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on a Monster Movie Fun Time Go Patreon. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.